Welcome back to the School of Calisthenics. It's Tim and Jacko.
It's an exciting day today because we've got something new for you.
We've got a follow along beginners calisthenics workout. So we're going to take you through our framework for calisthenics, and we're going to start off with some movement preparation. We're going to then move on to a little bit of movement patterning before we finish off with some hard work in the capacity strength section.
All you're going to need is some space on the floor, a wall space which you can put your feet up against, and a set of gymnastic rings. We're going to introduce each of the exercises in this section, give you a demo and the coaching points of what you need to do, some time to practice, and then take you through a working set.
Let's get started. Movement preparation phase of the framework now then is to get ourselves and our body prepared and ready for the session we're about to do. So we're going to go through 3 exercises, starting with the caterpillar that Tim is going to demonstrate for us so you can have a know what you're doing before we get started. So start standing up, it leans forward, take your hands on the floor, start to get a stretch on the hamstrings on the way back. And then we're starting to get a bit of core and glute activation, trying to make sure that body stays in a nice straight line. Tim's very good, so he's going to get very low. Only go as far as you can actually control it. And then he walk the feet back in towards the hands and then walk the hands out further again. So that's our first movement preparation exercise, the caterpillar. So the second exercise we're going to do is a T push-up, which actually fits in a little bit with the human flag training that we do, where we're looking at opening up this bottom shoulder. So he's got to keep the body in a nice straight line, and we're rotating to the side this time, pushing himself away from the floor when he gets to there rather than slumping on it. Controls back down to a press-up. Can chuck a press-up in if you want to as well, and then pushing up to the other side. So we're rotating from one side, nicely under control at this point, just to start to get some opening up that bottom shoulder and getting some temperature into those muscles as well. So the third movement preparation exercise we're going to do is the Pluto sniff. This is one of Tim's favourites, where you start in the press-up position and then push your bump high into the air, hamstrings get a bit of a stretch, but then really opening up the shoulders through the T-spine as well into that position. Then he's driving down, controlling himself down, keeping the elbows close to the body, to the bottom for a press up. If you're strong like Tim, you can push back up. If you find it difficult, once you've had that stretch and you come through to the bottom, you can just drop your knees down to the floor and just push yourself back up. So there are 3 movement preparation exercises, and we're going to just link them together in a nice little sequence to help you get warm and ready for this session. So Tim's going to start with the caterpillar. So he's in his press-up position, he walks those hands out, keeps the bum and the core nice and tight, go as low as you can control it, then walk the feet back in. He then goes back down to his press-up and then goes into that T push-up, which is the next exercise. So he's opening that bottom shoulder up, keeping control and always pushing down hard into the floor, and then finally into the Pluto sniff. So bum up in the air, open the shoulders up, and then controlling that down and push back up. If you've got a long bit in a big long room, you can carry those going forward, or you can spin yourself around and come back, and we're going to do this 3 times. So this is rep number 2. Take note of the control that Tim is going through. It's all nicely controlled movements because we're trying to create tension. We're trying to keep making sure that the muscles are going to be getting nice and warm, as well as going through a bigger range of motion. So it's always trying to get a little bit deeper, always trying to make sure we're going through those full ranges. That's 2, and then this is going to be the last one. So walk the hands out, bum comes up to the top, keep walking hands out into the T push-up, open that bottom shoulder up. We should be starting to get nice and warm now. Tim's pretty fit, so he's probably not going to be blowing him out of breath. It controls that Pluto sniff down, elbows close to the body, press back up, and that's our 3 sets done of that exercise. Feels nice and warm, Tim?
Stand ready to go.
The second part of the framework that we're going to move on to then is the movement patterning part.
So patterning is going to start to introduce a skill acquisition phase of these movements that we're working towards. So we're going to look at a frog stand and a skinny cat, and they're going to lead into our handstand progressions and our back lead, which are 2 great exercises to start at when you're a beginner.
So the frog stand is going to start to learn how to use your hands to support yourself and balance. So we're going to be a bit of that skill acquisition Tim mentioned about using those fingers and hands to balance, but then also building up some strength in these bad boys to be able to hold you up when you are just on your hands. So for the frog stand, hands, just will make sure you know all the technique and tips that you need to be getting this right from the start. So hands shoulder width apart, so you can see hands directly beneath those shoulders, fingers pointing forward, not turned out to the side, pointing forward, gripping with the fingertips, so there's a little bit of space underneath there. Those fingertips are really going to grip hard and control you when you're tipping forward. The knees then go onto the outsides of the elbows. The better you are, the higher up you can put them. But when you're just starting out as a beginner, you're probably going to have them a little bit lower down. It's just a little bit more stable there. And then all Tim's going to do is rock forward slightly with toes on the floor, and then gradually just try and take one toe off. And then when he feels comfortable, he's going to try and bring the other toe to come with him. And he's got that balance there. What often happens when you're first starting out is you get into this position, we get a bit scared of coming down here. The first time I ever did, when I smashed my face on the floor, and what happens is you never tip far enough forward, you never commit to it, and you always just keep rocking back. So a couple of tips for you would be, you might want to put a pillow down in front of you just to make sure something that you're not afraid of landing on, and then allow yourself to commit to making sure you tip forward. If Tim just show us one side on, if he stays up here, he's never going to have enough weight distribution around his hands to be able to hold that middle point. So he's trying to get this bit to come forward a little bit, commit to that, so that he can then start to control that balance up there.
It's a real simple balance that, guys, just like a seesaw. Shift weight forward, get the hips high, and you keep remember to push the floor down hard.
So these are isometric. We're trying to hold statically for at least 5 seconds. So Tim's there, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be with one set. We're trying to get up to 5 to 10 seconds of these when we're just starting out. Try to hit 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 sets if you can. It's time for you to have a play around at this now. If you want to have a play around, see where you can get to. Don't get too worried about exactly how long you're holding for, but just try and stick to those parameters. But you can pause the video now if you want to and have a play with those. Okay, so you should be pretty warm now from those frog stands, and we're going to move on to our second movement, pattern exercise, which is the skin the cat, where we're going to be taking the shoulder through a huge range of motion, and then it's also going to be the starting point for if we are going to be working towards a back lever, which is the first thing we ever did.
This looks a little bit extreme, guys, but the shoulder has 360 degrees of movement. You have got the capacity to move through it, but just building slowly. You don't have to go all the way around for the first attempt. Just build some confidence and have a play around with it.
So we've got our rings set up on the rig. This could be a pull-up bar anywhere, or you could hang them around a tree or anything at all. What's nice about having it on the rings is that you can be down close to the floor. When we're just starting out, you might need a little bit of help to kick yourself up. We'll just show you the technique points first to start with this. So firstly, we can't be slack here. We must get active. So Tim's going to drive his shoulders down. He can almost, when we're starting up, you want to try and do a bit of a pull-up to try and pull yourself around. So he then goes active, pulls the knees up, he comes round. He then lets the hands turn slightly to face away from him. Tim's really good, so he's going to control himself all the way down to the bottom. Toes touch, and then pulls himself back around. If you're just starting out, you might not be able to have this much control, so we've got a couple of options for you. Still get active through the shoulders, but you can use your feet on the floor to kick yourself up to this bottom position. Then get yourself stable, and then start to, rather than look backwards, you need to start looking forwards to let that bum come down. And you kind of try and control this eccentric, place your feet down on the floor, and then you can stand back up. And you can just go half of the way around. You're still building strength for the whole range of motion, but you're not having to worry about pulling yourself back. Okay, so Tim's going to be going through 5 reps of these under nice control, and that's what we're going to try and build up to. So we want to be able to do it, at least sort of 5 reps of these, a couple of sets. When you're starting out, it might be that you haven't got this much control. Like we said, you can't pull yourself all the way back round, and you have to break them up a little bit. And maybe you can just do 3 and you're controlling down and you stand back up, but that's absolutely fine. But know that as you control the strength on the way down, it's going to help you to be able to build up the strength to be able to come back the other way. And if you're getting at least 5 reps done and controlling the eccentric for 5 seconds on the way down, then that's a good amount of time that you're building strength for. So it's time for you to pause the video and have a go and have a bit of a play around with that skin the cat and see where you're at. Build up to 5 reps, full reps if you can.
The final stage of the workout is going to be the capacity strength section, and as a beginner this is where you really want to invest some time. We're going to start to build some strength, which is going to build the basic foundations for all of the stuff that you might want to do in calisthenics, whether that's handstands, muscle ups, human flags. We're going to kick off with the wall walks, one of my favourite exercises for shoulder stability, and it's great for getting some core integration as well. So Jacko's going to go into his push-up position, feet go up against the wall, and then all he's got to do is just try and keep this nice long straight body line. So his tummy is working hard in the midsection to stabilise. He walks himself backwards. Now he's super confident in his handstand position, so he's going all the way to the wall, makes himself nice and long and straight, keeping the bum squeezed on. Imagine you're cracking a wall up between the butt cheeks, tummy locked in, and he walks himself back out. Very similar to the sort of caterpillar position with the hands we did to start off with. The one thing you can do is if you don't feel that confident to go all the way, you don't really sort of not comfortable being upside down, just go a quarter of the way or halfway, build some confidence. You can still do the same thing, making that nice long straight shape, and you can walk yourself back out. Lots of scope there to progress and regress within line with what you feel comfortable with. Just be really strict on how you'll maintain that body position. The next exercise in our capacity strength section is a bodyweight ring row, an absolute essential for keeping the shoulders healthy, and it helps you get some real mid-load trap activation, which is super important in stabilizing the shoulder and keeping good postural control. So all Jacko's going to do is grab the rings. You can change the length of the ring to make it more difficult or a little bit easier, but you can also shift the foot position. Jacko's going to go about 45 degrees to start off with. The first movement is he's got to really squeeze those shoulder blades back together. So imagine you've got a pound coin between the shoulder blades, you're trying to pinch it right in here. That just pulls the shoulder into a good position. He's then going to squeeze with his thumbs up and pull himself up, chest between the rings. And then this bit's really important. Nice little squeeze at the top, pause for a second there, and then lowers himself back down under control. Don't allow yourself when you get back there to fall out and then just show him a bad rep, Jacko, and you pull through. You can see the shoulder rounds through, and we're not keeping that nice postural control. So always be strict. Hold that shoulder in a good position, shoulder blades together, pulls through, drops himself back out. If it's easy, you can move your feet further forwards underneath the support where the rings are to lower that body angle, puts more weight on the shoulders and upper body, makes it a bit more difficult, or if you want to make it easier, do the opposite and just walk your feet a little bit further back. The last exercise in our capacity strength circuit is going to be a pipe push-up. If you think back to our movement preparation exercises in the Pluto sniff, we're going to create a similar position, but this time we're focused on getting some vertical pushing strength. So Jacko goes back into his press up, he walks his toes in a little bit to create this high hip position. We really want to try and keep his back as straight as possible. He's then going to drop his head down into make a tripod shape, and the real point here that he needs to do is drive out the way that he came. So he's pushing his hips back up. You see he lowers in, elbows in nice and tight to the body, then he pushes his hips back up straight away. What we don't want to do is lower through and then allow it to become like a press up by tilting the rib cage up and then driving out in this more horizontal pushing position. So be really strict with yourself, hips high, create the tripod and go back out the way that you came in. If you're finding that difficult, you've got a couple of options. One might be just an eccentric control, as you can lower yourself down, go as low as you can to the bottom position, bring your knees down and then just reset. And the last one is just to work through the range of movement that you can handle. So it might be you can go halfway and push yourself back out. As you get stronger and build more competency in this movement, you're going to find that you can go all the way to the ground. And sooner or later, you're going to be developing some really nice vertical pushing strength in the shoulders. So those are the 3 exercises. Pause the video, have a go at each one, and then we're going to put them all together for a workout. So we're going to put these together in a circuit with no rest in between the exercises, but in between sets, we're going to throw a little bit of rest in, but we're going to keep this moving fairly quickly. We want to build a little bit of endurance and some basic strength. First up, wall walks. So just to recap, Jacko's going to aim for 5 reps of these. So he gets into this good position, he's walking his hands up as far as he feels he's comfortable to go. He makes a nice long straight position here. We've got a great opportunity there to practice our handstand. So pushing up nice and tall and keeping that nice long straight body position. He walks all the way back down and he pushes himself back up. These don't look that hard, but trust me, when you're doing the workout, you're going to find that there's a little bit of a sting in the tail of these. Loads of work on the shoulders, and you have to work super hard to control the hips. Try not to let yourself rocking and rolling all the way around. I make that 4, Jacko. Oh, he's honest, you see. As he walks himself back in, hold that position and go back out. Good, nice long straight body position. And then he comes back in for the last one. And he can walk himself down. Good. So we're going to take that, we're going to straight over to the rig for the next exercise on the rings. So our bodyweight row exercise, from when you're tested the exercise here, you'll have found the position which is comfortable for you. So just go back to that. Jacko's just going to rest his toes on the edge of the frame there. Sets himself up, shoulders set into the socket first, squeezing the pound core between the shoulder blades, and then he pulls himself up, thumbs to chest, keeping a nice, long, strong core position. This is one of the great things about calisthenics. If you do it properly, yes, we're working upper body for the strength, but we have to use the midsection as well. So we're doing our core training all the time, creating nice, long, strong body positions. We're going for 10 reps. You can just squeeze through. You can see he's pausing and working hard at the bit where chest hits the rings or comes between them, and then also in that lowering phase. It's really important that you don't just allow yourself to fall back into that start position. We're trying to create tension all the time through the range of movement. Sometimes if you find you're getting towards the 10 reps, which is what we're aiming for, and you're starting to struggle and the quality's going, this exercise is really adaptable. So just move the foot position so you can finish the reps on that set with perfect technique. Every time you move badly, you're reinforcing the poor movement pattern which your brain learns. So be really strict with yourself on how you're pulling together that technique and keep it looking super tidy. How are we doing, Jacko?
About 1,000. It's 998.
All right, so we've got 10 ring rows in the bag. Our last exercise then is the pike push-ups. We're gonna aim for 6 of these. Again, as a beginner, you can start to play around with some different volumes. It doesn't have to be these rep ranges, they're just a great starting point. But if you feel like you can do more, you can add those together and start to build some more reps into those sets. So hips nice and high, drops down, creates that position and drives back out. There's his first one. Again, controlling that lowering phase and making sure the hips stay high on the way back out. You can see he's up on his tiptoes a little bit. Jacko's just shifting as much weight as he can over the shoulders, but again, play around with that position and feel where you're comfortable. As he reps it out, you can see everyone is going back out vertically, which is great. And there we finish off. So that's one round of the exercises done. We're gonna give him a 1-minute rest, and then we're gonna go again. You guys know what you're doing now, so just pause the video, go and hit the sets. We're probably gonna aim, if you're a complete beginner, 1 set of that might be enough for a workout. I'd probably aim for at least 2. If you're starting to build some competency and you're feeling confident, go for 3 or 4 sets. Those wall walks, you can add some more reps in there, and the same with the pike push-ups. If you can do 10 reps of each of those exercises, you're gonna be in a great place to start some more of your training.
So you might have done 1, 2, 3, or even 4 sets of that. I did 1 and I'm flipping tired and I've got a bit of a pump on, so it's a nice workout there, and hopefully that's given you some good ideas to get started with your beginner's calisthenics.
So this is the first of our exercise work-alongs, guys. So if we've new style of content for us, if it's something different that you want or the format you want, you think we could do it better, so it's easier for you to follow along at home, just give us a comments below. We want to make content which you guys can use, and it's ultimately going to help you to improve your calisthenics training and redefine your impossible.
Yeah, so if you give us some feedback on what you thought of that, and then also like any other style videos that you'd like us to do, any other content you'd like us to cover, if you like these follow along ones, would you like a handstand one, for example? Yeah, just comment below and let us know, and we look forward to delivering for you exactly what you need to help you improve in your calisthenics.
So make sure you go and put those reps and sets together, and we'll see you again soon.
So until next time.
Class dismissed.